The pay gap between CEOs and employees is astronomical. CEOs get paid way too much. Are they worth all that money? If the CEOs make a lot more than employees, workers can become disgruntled. So I said the pay gap between CEOs and employees. The pay gap is when you just compare any two groups of people. So for example, in Korea, there might be a pay gap between men and women doing the same job. In between CEOs and employees, there's a gap, kind of the space between the two. And I said the pay gap between CEOs and employees is astronomical. Astronomical is a word we use when we talk about a very big number. So in some cases, it could be like 100 times more than an employee is making. That's an astronomical amount of money. And then finally, I said, if CEOs make a lot more than employees, workers can become disgruntled. Disgruntled is kind of like a combination of angry, upset, sad, and just generally having a bad attitude. Those employees are disgruntled. The pay ratio between CEOs and employees is too high. There is an imbalance of pay in many companies. Why should they be paid hundreds of times more than the average employee? We need to close this gap. High pay ratios can cause employees to resent the CEO and the company. So another way of saying pay gap is the pay ratio. So ratio is when you take a number like from like 4 to 1. So if the ratio or the odds were 4 to 1, it means if you played a game, you would only win 1 time out of 4. But it's also a multiple. So if someone's getting paid $10 and the ratio is 4 to 1, that means the CEO is getting paid $40. So they call it the pay ratio. And I said there's an imbalance of pay in many companies. So an imbalance of pay means it's not balanced correctly. So if your average worker is making $10, but the employee is making $10,000, some might see that as an imbalance. So we call it imbalance of pay. And then finally, we need to close the gap. So if there's a gap, like a salary gap or pay gap, so if someone's making $100 and one person's making $1, you want to close the gap, and then you would meet at $50. So there'd be no gap if there was an average. And then high pay ratios can cause employees to resent the CEO and the company. To resent someone means to really hate them, really not like them. Or it could be a group of people or a company. Like, I resent that company because they have terrible customer service. The focus should not be on what the CEO makes. CEOs got to where they are because of performance. They also get to keep their jobs because they make the company profitable. This is why they make so much money. It's not a question of fair or unfair. It is a job that is solely based on performance and numbers. So I said the focus should not be on what the CEO makes. So we shouldn't really be worried about what the CEO makes financially. The focus should be on kind of the performance and what the CEO does. That's why they make so much money. And then finally, I said it's a job that is solely based on performance and numbers. So CEOs, once they're in there, they have to make the company profitable, and they have to hit certain targets. And if they don't, they get fired. So that's what the job is just based on, just making money. CEOs of most companies tend to be the best in what they do in their field. Through experience, leadership, and growing a company is the only way to become CEO. CEOs are worth every penny. The market dictates how much they get paid. Not only are they getting paid to make profits, they're getting paid so much so they don't leave and go to a competitor. So I said CEOs, they're the best at what they do in their field. So if someone has worked in the pharmaceutical firm or a pharmaceutical company for their whole life and becomes a CEO of a pharmaceutical company, they're the best in that field. Or if a lawyer becomes partner, they're very good in the legal field. So when we talk about field, we also talk about areas of work or study. And I said, CEOs are worth every penny. Worth every penny means whatever you paid for it, it's worth it. So, if you go on, let's say, a very expensive holiday, like a vacation, and you spend a lot of money and you come back and you had a great time, you would say it was worth every penny. So even though you spent a lot of money, every single dollar or penny was worth the experience. And then finally, I said the market dictates how much they get paid. So the market dictates, which means the job market will put a price on certain CEOs of certain industries. So if you're a CEO and in your field every CEO gets paid $10 million, well, that's how much CEOs in that area are going to get paid. And if the CEOs in certain other areas get paid $1 million, that's it. That's what they get paid. So when we say the market dictates means what the market says about what the demand is and supply is for either products or, in this case, people. Thanks, guys, for downloading. Follow us at Instagram at MATTSSAM. Yeah, check out the new college book at readybooks.com.